Today we're going to talk about the flow chart, how the information flows. In case of a submittal, we're talking about how the information flow when a submittal when it arrives, what happens to it, and what we call it a status network, or what we call it a workflow or a life cycle or something like that. In Prosper, we call it status network. The status is, it starts as just inserted, then it goes from just inserted, it goes to being prepared. From being prepared, it can go either received by client, or it can go to be reviewed by consultant. From received by client, it has only one way to go, is waiting approval. From waiting approval, it can go either to approved by PM, or it goes to approved by client, or it goes returned back to being reviewed by consultant. If it goes to approved by PM, after that it can go to received by contractor. If it goes to approved by client, it could go also to received by contractor, and it can go, if it's approved by client, it can go to being revised also. From approved to the client, it can go to being revised by consultant. When being revised by consultant, it can go to being revised, and from being revised it goes back to received after completion, or it can go back to the beginning to being prepared to redraw the cycle again. There is also a special status, a special network here parallel to this one, that's called from any status, from any of these statuses that we identified, from any statuses, it can go to the same status by notify involved people. Means notify involved people would keep it in the same status, but will do an action, but will keep it in the same status. It can go to or download attached files. Also, download attached files will go in the same status. Download attached files will remain in the status, or it will go into, it will call missing, because it will flag it as missing some files in it. Okay, now I want to explain some stuff here. This is that we call the status. This is the action that will be done, that will move the status that will move the document from this status to this status. For example, waiting PM received. From being prepared, you cannot modify the status manually. You have to progress. You have to take an action, and that action is called received by client. From here, from received by client to move it to waiting approval, you have to say handled by client. From waiting approval, you have three options. You have the first option is approved by PM, that will take it to approved by PM. You have to take an option is called approved by client, that will take it to approved by client, and you have another option that's called return back to bring it being reviewed by consultant. This is how it works. So this is the action that is that you run, okay, on this document to move it from this status to this status. If there is no action that will take it from being prepared to waiting approval, means you cannot go to waiting approval. You have to pass through this one, then you have to go to waiting approval. The only way to go to waiting approval is from here. Oh, there is another way to go waiting approval from here, you see. So if you go to being prepared to being reviewed by consultant, the consultant can review it, then handled by consultant, so it's waiting for approval. Let's see that in action in Prosper. In Prosper, for example, here we have a submittal, the one we were talking about, of type of status being prepared. The being prepared, as you can see, the being prepared, from being prepared, what can I do? I can either go received by client, or I can go received by consultant. So let me see what happens if I do progress on this one. It tells me received by consultant or received by client, which is really great. But it showed me three other things. Why? Because from any status, we said from any status we can do notify people, or we can do download attached file, or we can do missing, and remaining in the same status. This is how it is. So the received by consultant and the received by client, and you will see these three always, it doesn't matter what the status is, you can notify involved people, you can download attached files, and you can flag it as missing files. Now, let me go to another document that is not being prepared. For example, that is received by contractor. As you see, the status is received by contractor. If we go to here and it says me received by contractor, what can I do from here? Where I can go from here? No way, I can't go anywhere. The only thing I can do is, since it's received by contractor, I can notify involved people, download attached files, and do missing. That's all what I can do. So let me try it. If I do progress here, you see, notify involved, download attached files, and do missing. This is the only thing that I can do when it is received by contractor. Let me see another one that is, for example, excuse me. Oh, you see how Prosper identifies it? Here it identifies it with this color because it's waiting approval, and here it identifies with this color because it's being prepared, and another color because it's been received. Now, received by contractor. Now let's see this one, since it is waiting approval, let's see what can I do if it's waiting approval. If I do progress, oh, it can do approved by client, approved by CMS, or approved or returned back. Then the three normal ones what I want to. So approved by client, approved by CMS, and returned back. So let me go to here. Let's see, waiting approval, approved by PM, approved by client, and approved and return back. You see the return back. These are the three things options. But since we have always these are common to all, so I can do notify, download, and missing. This is how this thing works. Very, very nice. You cannot, every action taken in this list that we talked. So if we're gonna follow this path, means from let's say from waiting approval, if you're gonna go follow this path, you tell Prosper, I want to approve by PM, the project management. Allora, I wanna approve by PM means I'm taking an action. That action, somebody can take it and someone cannot take it. Not only so, if I can see a document that is in status waiting approval, a submittal in status waiting approval, it doesn't mean that I can approve by the PM. Only the persons who are allowed to follow this path will see that option. These are all the paths available, but only the person who belongs to a certain role, who has a certain role, can follow this path. Not everybody can follow this path. The same thing approved by client. Only the persons that have the role of the client can do approved by client. Only the persons that can return it back can return it back. It's very important. Now, so we have the status. From status, we have the two status. We have the action taken that will take it from one status to another status. There is an access, means who can follow this path, who can take this action, and there is also, you can tell Prosper, what do you want me to do when a person does that? The first thing that Prosper does, without you telling him anything, will put a history record, will say, this person in this date, from this IP, took this document from this status to this status following this action. This is very nice. But that's the default and the one that happens for free. But you could say, I want to notify somebody when this thing happened. I want to send an email when this thing happened. I want to, for example, the same thing when notify involved people. The notify involved people will go and will see in that document who is involved in that document, and will send them an email, a notification email or an alert on what they need to do. We'll set an alert, we'll print something, it depends on how do you want Prosper to be configured. Prosper comes configured for every single document. The one that that we talked about, the 49 types of documents, every document has its own status, network, and it has it is configured on what actions to do, and what actions to uh, uh, what happens when this action is taken. So uh, this, by the way, this network that we designed, there is a graphical user interface that will show you how to design. So we designed in Prosper all these networks, and you design them in a graphical user interface, and once you say save, that's the whole thing that you need to do. You design the statuses, you design the paths, you say what happens on every path, and the system will color it depending on the status type, because we have 4 different status types: the red, the green, the blue, and the gray. And these are common to all documents in Prosper. Thank you.